and welcome. Today we are taking a full look at the brand new N-Series Agility. If you don't know, the N-Series is a new Nerf line that utilizes a completely new and proprietary dart. For the Nerf brand, this dart is actually supposed to become the standard for casual blasting. So keep that in mind for sure. This line is replacing Elite and any blaster that fired an Elite dart. This is not a pro-level Strike-X kind of Nerf blaster. This is a new generation and reimagining of the casual space. At first I was very on the fence about this new dart. It is proprietary, but from what I've seen and heard about these blasters now, I have a much more positive opinion of the new dart. That being said, I am going to make this video more about the blaster. Of course, I am going to talk about accuracy and general performance of the new N1 darts, but as far as a heated debate about their validity and how much better they are, this is not going to be that video. Without further ado, let's jump right into the Nerf N-Series Agility. Included in the box is of course the Agility itself and 12 of the new N1 darts. Keep in mind the blaster holds 6, so this is actually double your darts. Very nice to see. Now let's talk about the Agility. The blaster features one sling mount below the grip, but technically you could also use this back handle as a sling mount. The blaster features one N-Strike rail and a 6-round cylinder. To load the cylinder, you simply pop the darts in and rotate through. The blaster is pretty easy to load, and the N1 darts have a great fit. The build quality on the Agility definitely feels pretty good. There's no creakiness, and it feels like a pretty solid blaster. That being said, there are a couple places that are a little bit flexy, but this does feel on par with Elite and the more recent Elite 2.0 blasters like the Double Punch. Ergonomically, the Agility seems pretty solid. I could see the grip, and more specifically the grip guard, being a tiny bit tight for some people, but overall I think this is a pretty solid grip that would work well for most people. It's definitely not going to alienate a big or small hand. Now you might be wondering what this thing is back here. This is just a different way to prime the blaster. So of course you could just put your hand right on the slide and prime it, but you could also prime it using this back here. If a younger person was using the Agility, I definitely think this would be an effective way to prime the blaster. But if you personally don't like it on the Agility, you could very easily take it off. There's a screw on the right and the left. Speaking of screws, this blaster has plenty of them, and I think that goes for most of the N-Series line. They are not solvent-welded, early-stage Elite 2.0 type blasters. The Agility is of course a 6-round capacity blaster and is top prime. So assuming you have darts loaded, it is very simple to fire. Rotating through and firing this blaster is a breeze. I really like this prime, and that was pretty enjoyable. It is worth pointing out that the blaster does not have slam fire, but I wouldn't say that slam fire is a necessity for a 6-round sidearm. Now let's take the Nerf N-Series Agility outside and put it over the chronograph. But really quick, before we go outside, here is the N1 dart. We do have a DRM like what we saw with Ultra, but the darts feel like they would be pretty durable. The N1 dart is shorter than the classic Elite dart, but it is wider, and it is significantly smaller than the Ultra dart. So here we are outside with the N-Series Agility. We will of course be firing the brand new N1 darts. 87. Duplicate 87. 91, 85, 89, and 88. So that performance is pretty solid. We are definitely getting a higher average than I think we did with any Elite blaster. And that is what I heard for the line, that it would average somewhere between 80 and 90 feet per second. I am very happy with that performance. Now let's fire some shots downrange. Unfortunately, we do have a slight breeze coming from the left. And those ranges are definitely superior to what we saw with the Elite line. But I will say, I have tested the N1 dart previously, and while they are more accurate than the Elite dart and the standard Ultra dart, they are still not nearly as consistent as the AccuStrike dart or even Ultra AccuStrike dart. So what are my final thoughts on the N-Series Agility? Ignoring the discussion around the dart, the Agility is a more than exceptional blaster. For $9.99, you're getting a very reliable, very smooth smoothly working 6-round capacity top prime cylinder blaster that averages over 80 feet per second. The build quality and ergonomics are on par with what we had before. That price at just $10 really baffles me, and it's incredible. You're also getting double your darts. Somehow this blaster has an MSRP lower than that of the Disruptor and the Strong Arm, which only came with enough darts to fill them and were not nearly as powerful. In fact, I think this retails for the same price that the Maverick did so many years ago. So I am definitely impressed with the agility. That being said, as good as the agility is, whether you buy it or not will depend on your thoughts on the new darts. And let me just say this, the N1 darts are not meant to be the best and highest performing ammo type that beats out everything else. They are simply a new take, and it seems a new standard for casual Nerf under Hasbro. And not every blaster has to be a 200 FPS powerhouse. From what I can see right now, the N series is actually a pretty great thing. They are for the most part family-friendly blasters that you could very easily and safely use indoors, but offer a pretty significant boost over the Elite line. The darts are not the most accurate thing, but I think the reason for that is that Nerf was trying to make them the best balance between accuracy and distance. As you probably know, if you stick an Adventure Force Waffle or a Nerf AccuStrike dart in a Strong Arm, you're going to get significantly less ranges, but an Elite dart, while sailing much farther, is not accurate at all. So while the N1 dart isn't perfect, it allows these blasters to have a reasonable balance between distance and accuracy. And again, you really have to keep in mind that Nerf has a pro line. The N series is not meant to be pro grade, and the agility is not a pro grade blaster, but it is a really solid blaster for casual nerfing. So why would you invest in the agility and the new darts in general? If you primarily play your Nerf games indoors, or you're just not comfortable with being shot or firing at your friends and family with these 150, 200 FPS plus blasters, the N series offers superior performance than what we saw with the previous casual Nerf lines. The N series in a lot of ways is very comparable to Ultra, with one key difference. Ultra was marketed as the best of the best and was at the time Nerf's answer to high-powered blasters. The problem is, it came nothing close to what other companies were making, and they treated Ultra as this very premium line. Expensive darts, expensive blasters, and not the best performance. The N series is not trying to be a high-powered blaster line, and the blasters in the line, as well as the darts, are not as expensive as Ultra, not nearly. The flagship blaster in the N series line is the Infinite. It holds a whopping 40 darts, but ships with 80. We never saw anything remotely like that with Ultra, and the entry level here is much lower than Ultra as well. This blaster is only priced at $10, but there are still less expensive N series blasters. So my overall thoughts on the agility are surprisingly positive. I really like this blaster, and I am pretty optimistic about the Nerf N series. But I would love to hear your thoughts on the blaster and the N series as a whole. If you are interested in the agility, I will have the link in my description. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe for more. Have a good one, and happy blasting.